Today was my first day of personal training. It's July 2nd, a Thursday. I've decided for this month's lifestyle challenge that I'm going to focus on strength and mobility and agility and things that I'm not as great doing myself. And I decided working with a personal trainer would be a great way to learn form and make sure I'm challenging myself and being held accountable. Here in Pennsylvania, in the county that I live in, we have just gone green, so gyms are reopening. I'm not quite ready for a large group format, so again, I think some individualized attention accountability would be good for me. So I'm working with a trainer in a small female-owned business. So I'm looking forward to it. My first session was 45 minutes. I feel like my arms are going to be a little sore, but that means that I worked hard. I have to say I was pretty anxious, a little bit nervous going into it. I think I always sort of feel a little bit self-conscious, I guess, about not knowing maybe the right names for things and worrying about if my form is going to be correct. But that's really the whole reason that I'm going to see a personal trainer, is to learn as much as possible and to make sure I'm using the correct form. I also felt a little bit funny, I guess, about seeing people that I haven't seen in a few months since COVID-19 and the lockdown. And I haven't seen the gym owner of the boxing gym that I go to, who I'm seeing for physical therapy. I just feel like weirdness about the way that my body has changed noticeably, and not that that's a bad thing. But it's like I don't want to discuss my body. I'm discussing my body with strangers, whoever may see this, but I don't want to have a personal discussion. And I'm kind of trying to think through why I feel this way with people that I'm not close to. I don't like to have those people notice, or if they do notice, I don't want to necessarily have them comment on it, which I know is sort of the opposite of what maybe a lot of people feel. I feel like maybe it's part of it is that I'm sensitive to having my motivations for why I'm working on my strength and my fitness and my health, and having it be perceived as around aesthetics. Because I feel like there's so much stigma around having a specific body type and a specific standard of beauty. And I don't want to perpetuate that, because I know that I am the same person. At my heart, I am just as, I'm just as valuable a person. I'm just as hardworking of a person. I'm just as whatever, character traits are ascribed to a smaller body type versus a larger body type. But I digress. I had some trepidation about that going in. Teresa did comment on, the change, but not a creepy way, of course, a complimentary way about my changed physique. She did take measurements so that I could track my progress, and I appreciate it was, measurements over a scale. I know they're all just standards of, measure or metrics, but I appreciate that. So the first week, I'm sure a lot of it is just sort of novelty, kind of getting the lay of the land, getting to know her a little bit better, but not a bad first week.
I feel like it's kind of been a little bit up and down in terms of one day I'll feel like it's more challenging than others. I know like the first workout felt very doable. Second one, there were some harder elements and I did have some soreness. And kind of the same thing in week 2. I did think about whether I wanted to talk to the trainer about maybe changing up what we're doing and maybe having a more of a boxing based emphasis for it. And in all honesty, I have been feeling tired. Like I don't I'll link to my video from last month. I don't sleep super well. So one of the things I was wondering, if I did more strength and added more weights and things, if that would improve the quality of my sleep. So far, not so much. I did have a pretty tired weekend where I'm not usually a napper, and I did take some naps. So that's something, but as far as sleeping at night, I don't feel like that's especially changed for me. I know the heat is bothering me. It has gotten sort of abruptly really hot where I live, and I've been getting up pretty early in order to try to beat the heat as much as possible, because I still do try to run about 3, sometimes 4 mornings a week, and I'll try to get that in early. I'm trying to increase the distances, and I'm doing some interval training. So, I mean, I guess it's natural that that makes me tired, and trying some new, strength-based stuff where you're actually tearing those muscle fibers and building them back up. So I was sort of thinking, I don't calorie count, so I don't really have a good sense necessarily of how many calories I'm taking in, or if I should be changing, maybe looking at the ratio of like carbs to protein to fats that I'm eating. I've tried adding some more protein into like my breakfast. Bear with me here. This is before I go to bed. Classibs. So week 3 was a little rough with the physical training, working with the personal trainer. I think because I spent 3 days of that week working with a friend in the sun, in the heat, to re-roof my shed. And I think I've said before, I don't do super great with the heat, and this skin does not do great with the sun. So I was up and down the ladder. I was on, I wasn't even the one who was hanging out on the roof at the time, which would have been really terrible. But I was cutting shingles to size and bringing tools up and down the ladder. So I think I was just feeling really drained and tired. We did triceps that I was sort of recovering from, and then I was dragging stuff up and down. So I was feeling pretty sore. I do appreciate the trainer introduced me to a foam roller and how that can help with working out some of your stiffness and soreness and tiredness. So that was good. I did sort of have some rough emotional spots. We had worked on planks a little bit. I have a problem with my wrist where I don't know if it's from falling on it so many times or what, but I just have trouble supporting my weight fully on my right wrist. So I usually make a fist. I'm okay if like I'm holding on to dumbbells for like attempting push-ups or doing plank, but it's not great. And I just sort of had a rough emotional moment when I realized how often and regularly I used to do planks you know, previously in my life when I was more active, and that, that is something that I kind of let fall to the wayside. And I just sort of had a moment of recrimination and anger at myself and sort of feelings of shame that I don't know, that I stopped doing those things to keep myself fit. So it was like a hard emotional moment. I don't know. You go through these things sometimes of like being in your body and getting caught up in your head about what something means or doesn't mean. And I know that we have the ability to control the narrative of what we're thinking, but sometimes we're better at that than others. So the trainer was encouraging and like reminded me of like the progress I've made over the past year, and that I've worked hard. But it wasn't really about that. It was about, you know, it was a moment for myself of realizing that I sort of gave up on myself for a while. And I'm not doing that anymore, but sometimes I still feel angry at myself that I did that. But anyway, other positive moments, we tried jump roping for the first time in I don't know how many years. Can you jump rope? Because apparently I cannot. Or the longest I could jump rope in a row was about 90 seconds, but that was like with 1 foot leading, trying to do like 2 foot. I'm not coordinated. So I now have another goal, which is to be able to progress in terms of jump roping. So that's another thing I'm going to work on. I ran out and bought myself a jump rope, so it's something I can work on. But that's where we are. It's Tuesday, July 28th. Tomato face. Probably not going to be very articulate because all of the blood is in my face and my extremities, and I'm sweating like crazy. I had kind of an emotional session today. Just feeling, I don't know, I haven't made as much progress, I guess, as I normally do. Try not to be about those goals, but it is a metric that you start to rely on, if I'm honest. I've also been tired. The heat has been bothering me. I felt really sick from the heat on Sunday evening, so I took a rest day yesterday, and I think I need to be changing up what I'm doing in terms of rest and probably eating more than I have been, maybe more protein. It's all an experiment that I'm trying to figure out. So I feel like, I don't know, I was feeling a little discouraged today, and I got a little emotional, and Teresa, my trainer, was very supportive and very kind and encouraging, and helped me realize like the progress that my body's making, and encouraged me to, realize how far I've come and that there is physical representation of that, and helping me realize that I need to change maybe some of my focus, and that what I'm doing is not going to be static, that it's going to continue to change. So it was good, and I went on to have what I thought was a pretty good workout. My goals for the month were to really gain strength, increase mobility, improve agility and balance, learn proper form for exercises, tone overall, work on muscle groups that I have not been able to get myself to work on. Maybe sometimes I just don't even know the exercises to do, and sort of have that accountability. So overall, I do think that I have gained strength. I think through learning proper form for a lot of things, I'm not sure if I've increased mobility. I'm not actually sure what I even meant by that. I think more I was thinking in terms of agility and balance. And those things I think I have improved. Part of what I think I learned is some of the things I thought I had issues with as far as like balance had to do with not having my weight staggered appropriately, or especially how I was
setting my legs up that I was oftentimes, like when I was going into a lunge, I was almost going into a curtsy, like I was putting my back leg too close and over, which was throwing my balance off, which is, if you don't really know what you're looking for, is a very simple thing that you can change and makes a huge difference. So, I mean, I feel like that alone has been totally changed kind of how I think about myself and whether or not I think I'm coordinated is just something simple like that that I don't know if I would have caught on my own. Maybe I would have eventually, but that was certainly helpful. I did, of course, work on muscle groups that I wasn't working on because I wasn't picking exercises necessarily based on trying to get sort of a full body workout. So those things were really positive, and the accountability of, I paid up front for the whole month. So, and because I had the commitment to be there, I was there on time. And I feel like my personality, at least, it's a lot easier to push yourself really hard when you're with someone else. And I could ask questions of the trainer, like, how do I determine like what weight I should go up to? And her letting me know, like, you want to, be able to like complete the set if you're doing 10, but you should be struggling to complete it if you want to be going up weight, at least for the number of reps that I was doing and for my individual goals. So overall, I think I learned a good amount during this month. I definitely benefited from my trainer's help with form. I learned some exercises I definitely had not done before. And how to do exercises I'd done before, but to do them correctly now. So for instance, I really struggled with planks. So she was helpful in showing me modifications, that I can do them on barbells because I have trouble with this wrist. She showed me, part of the reason maybe I'm struggling with planks was that I was kind of holding my feet together, and actually you want them about shoulder widths apart when you're in the plank position. Who knew? As far as things that maybe weren't as enjoyable for me, honestly, I don't think I enjoy the straight sort of exercise-based workout as much as some other things I've done. And this month I went to a boxing class, which I hadn't been to one sort of since the lockdown started, and I enjoyed it so much that almost put a pall on the other things that I was doing with the personal trainer. Not that I am not appreciative of what I learned in the work, but I just feel very enthusiastic about the boxing. Anyway, so I also feel like this was kind of a tumultuous month. I feel like things are changing, and I was really appreciative of the support of Teresa, my trainer, through that emotionally, as I'm sort of coming to terms with like my body and how I feel about it and my progress and my goals, and trying to figure out for myself what my body needs. Like, I was really struggling with the heat, as I said multiple times. The boxing gym, the gym that I'm working out in, is not air conditioned. It's been extremely hot. I've been doing like physical work around my house. I've been trying to make progress with my running at the same time. And I really had to assess what my hydration needs are, what my needs for rest were. I think I underestimated at the beginning of the month, like how much the strength and muscle building was going to take out of me, and the need for recovery in there. So I definitely feel like I'm still tweaking my nutrition needs, my hydration needs, and my needs for rest. So I was really encouraged by Teresa's support with regard to how my body is changing. Her emphasis was really on progress I made, and really encouraged me to focus on, what my body can do, and be appreciative of, what progress I've made in a relatively short period of time, versus using, some obscure number that I have in my head, which I don't even know what it's based on. And it, saying, when I said, well, BMI or a chart says this, saying, well, what does that really mean? Like, what does that really mean to me? And that is really what I needed. I needed that positive reinforcement and sort of the voice of reason. So I am really looking at what my goals are, and trying to set up metrics that reflect that, I guess, more accurately. And asking myself if those goals are strength or agility or skill-based, what am I willing to do to reach those? Kind of the calling card of what she said to me was, what's sustainable for you? And that's, maybe I was losing sight of some of that. Like to my mind, I'm doing a certain number of things to reach some specific goals, but then I'm thinking like, oh, well, I'm going to ease off when I reach that goals. But is that realistic? So what am I willing to do on an ongoing basis? And if my body is telling me that I need more rest than I'm getting, and maybe I shouldn't be trying to wake up quite so early. Maybe I should be making, rest a priority. Even if it's during sort of this hottest months or hottest weeks that we're having. So I think that support and sort of voice of reason from someone that I respect was really invaluable. And I sort of pivoted for the last, would have been the last personal training day. There were, I was doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, so there were 9 of those in July. So for my 9th, the video that you saw preceding, that should have been my second to last with personal training, I pivoted and took a boxing one-on-one session for that last one, which I loved and found so enjoyable. Would I recommend personal training? Yes, I would recommend it for someone who has similar goals, or anything you're going to try. I would encourage you to outline what you're hoping to get out of it at the outset, and then really analyze what your results or metrics were at the end to say if it was successful for you or not. I feel like it was successful for me. That said, there are certain things that I think are fun that I want to set as a goal. Like I do want to continue doing some strength and conditioning exercises. I am probably going to do them as part of, as I said, boxing regime. I have a new goal as far as getting more coordinated in jump roping, which will be a good conditioning thing for boxing as well. As far as a lot of the other exercises, I don't know. I may need to revisit those in the future. All in all, I just did not find them quite as exciting as some of the other things that I do. But anyway, so if you have experience with personal training, if you have any recommendations or favorite strength exercises that are easy enough to do at home, that was one of the factors. Is there seemed to be a lot of sort of equipment, different barbells, different weights that I don't necessarily have, and I'm not sure that I am convinced enough that I would do to invest in them right now. If I came across them, I may for the right price. But if you have any suggestions or recommendations for personal training, I'd love to hear them in the comments. If you found this content useful, please feel free to like it. It certainly helps. Share it. Again, that would certainly help my channel. And subscribe. It's nice to talk to you. Thanks for watching.